welcome back. It's Miss Allen again, and today we are going to be going over the lab portion of the classroom as well as lab safety. So please join me as we walk through the classroom and look at all of the lab equipment and safety features that we have. The first place you will always go during a lab is to the safety goggles cabinet. This is right next to the whiteboard and my desk. In here are where all lab safety goggles are stored, like the ones that I am wearing. This is a UV cabinet, which means that in between classes, I will store all goggles in here, and I run the UV lights in there, and that sanitizes the goggles. But if your goggles don't end up back in the cabinet, then they don't get sanitized. So please make sure you grab goggles at the beginning of a lab, and as soon as you are done, you come back and put them away. The only other lab safety feature to be aware of over in the classroom section of the room is this guy here. This is the emergency gas shutoff valve. So this controls the gas to the entire classroom. This is only ever turned on when we are doing a lab that involves the use of the Bunsen burners. So if the valve is pointing straight out like it is now, that means gas is turned off. If I turn it in the direction of the pipe, and it is not easy to do, now gas is turned on. So that will tell you if we are working with gas in a particular day or not. If ever there were a fire to break out in the lab, the first thing you would do, I would make sure that this gas valve is turned off, because that can make the fire a lot worse if that is still running. All right, so back over into the lab. Inside of the lab, one of the first things we have is the fire extinguisher. So this is a tool used to put out fires. You must be trained with the fire extinguisher to use it. So unless you are in the Cavett Fire Safety course, please let me know if this needs to be used, and I will use it on the fire. In addition, we have the broom and dustpan. These are for cleaning up any broken glass. If you do break glass, let me know that glass is broken, and I will come over and clean it up. What I want you to do is, again, let me know first. In fact, anytime there's any safety concern in the lab, first thing you should do is tell the instructor, and then you move away, and I will come in and I will clean it up. All right, also along this wall, we have this guy. This guy is known as a fume hood. The fume hood is intended whenever we work with any dangerous gases, as it will pump the chemicals directly out through the chute that you see up at the top. This sash is what this is called, and this makes sure that the gas does not escape. There is a plastic piece which keeps the sash at level. Do not try to force this up any higher, as this marks how high it can be where it still works. If you try to force it above that, it will not work, and all of the gas that we are trying to pump out will just end up filling the classroom, which is exactly what we do not want. The turn-on switch for this guy is in the prep room. You will see chemical prep room is restricted access only. That means that it is allowed for me to go in there, and if you are in my IB class year 2, you will also be allowed access back into this prep room, monitored, but nobody else should go back in here. So if we do need to use the fume hood, I will have already turned it on. In addition, if we need it, there is also a light switch, so we can see what's going on in the fume hood more clearly. And normally the fume hood would actually be empty except for our lab equipment. Right now it's holding lab sets until I get a chance to organize and put that stuff away. All right, next to the prep room door is a first aid kit. This mostly just contains bandages. If there's a serious injury in the lab, I would refer you to Nick in the health office, or as needed, we would go higher from there. But for minor injuries, we have first aid and bandages in the lab. In addition, here is what is called a safety shower. What this does is it dumps a whole bunch of water on you really, really quickly. This is what you would use if you got a good amount of chemicals anywhere on your body. In addition to using the safety shower, if you spilled acid or any other chemical that you don't know what it does and think it could harm you, clothes need to be gone, because keeping your clothes on keeps the chemical in contact with your skin and can make whatever your condition is as a result of the chemical much worse. So remove the clothes and into the safety shower. You pull this handle down to use it. Please do not try to touch the safety shower unless it is really, really serious. If we look down here at the drain is flat with the rest of the floor. What this means is that only the water that falls directly into the drain actually goes into the drain. All of the other water just spreads out into the lab, and it makes for a horrible mess that I have to clean up. Every year, the IB students get to test it to make sure that it works, but they're the only ones that get to use it, and it's just once per year to make sure that this guy is still working. In addition to the safety shower, we also have what is called an eye wash. It is right here. So what you would do is this faucet can turn on normally, but then I have a pull, and what you do is you pull this, and now it is functioning as an eye wash. And the harder you pull, the stronger that water will come out. And what it is intended to do is it flushes your eyes in case you think any water got into your eyes during a lab. Because if you don't use an eye wash and you think that chemicals got in your eye, some of the chemicals we work with could potentially cause blindness, especially in IB chemistry, which is why ideally your goggles should be on at all times. That way you don't have to worry about the uncomfortableness of the eye wash and dealing with that. All right, so those are two safety features. Over here we have the vent timer. This is used for if we don't need the fume hood, but if we're working with chemicals that, let's say, don't smell all that great, we can use this vent, and it just turns on the air filters up there, and it pumps any gases that might be collecting in the classroom out. For example, when we use the Bunsen burner, the natural gas that comes out of the gas vents can build up, and it can end up smelling kind of terrible in here, so that's when we would use that. All right, in the lab itself, we have a whole bunch of lab stations. Each lab station has a table which will fit 2 groups. They will be labeled, and has your sink and your gas valves. There are lab aprons, should you choose to wear them. I do not have a full class set of lab aprons, so these are just if you would feel more comfortable. If you forgot it was lab day and you're wearing really nice clothes and you don't want to risk getting chemicals on them, you may choose to wear a lab apron. It is not required. All right, and the last section of the lab to be aware of is all the way at the back. So this is at the very back of the classroom. We have what is called a fire blanket. This guy is, again, another tool used to put out fires. It is just a wool blanket that has been coated in fire retardant. You cover whatever is on fire with the blanket, and the blanket smothers the fire and therefore puts it out. And then directly under the fire blanket is the lab waste bin. Lab chemicals that cannot go down the drain get thrown out in here. Nothing else should go into the lab waste bin. First of all, we don't want chemicals potentially reacting with anything else that you could throw away in there, whether it's paper, food, or any of that. In addition, I especially don't want food in this waste bin because this waste bin doesn't get changed as regularly as the other waste bins, so whatever gets thrown in there usually sits in there for a while. So we do not want food sitting in there. And lastly, next to the fire blanket is one more first aid station. So there are 2 first aid stations in the room. Go to whichever one is closest if you need, again, a Band-Aid. If you need more than a Band-Aid, please alert me as the instructor, and I will make sure you get the care that you need. Hopefully that was understandable. We will go over lab safety once again once we are back in person. before we do our first in-person lab, but I just wanted to go over that so you are aware of what the safety features are for when we do come back, and that will hopefully put the safety videos that you will either have already watched or watch after this in perspective. Please be aware that there will be a safety test, and it will be tomorrow, and you will be asked about some of the safety features that we have in this classroom. So make sure you pay attention. You can always watch this as many times as you need. Know where these things are located, how they are used, and what they are used for. If you have any questions, you are free to contact me. I will be in Google Meets most days during our class period. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was informative, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.